Hi, I'm Shannon. I'm a sales and business coach who helps you avoid and escape those quicksand tasks.
That is most certainly the ideal situation. So, I'm glad that you've made the time to invest in yourself and your business today. This workshop really is all about helping you to have more than just inspiration. What I want for you is for you to walk away from this with clarity, with tools, and with a game plan that you can start using immediately. So, we're going to take a quick look at what we're going to walk through. And I think the first thing that we're going to talk about is the quicksand trap, the cycle of constant motion without any real progress. You're not going anywhere. You want to make sure that when you're moving, you're arriving, right? So you're probably going to see yourself in some of the things that we're going to talk about, some of these examples. When we move past that, we also want to talk about why hustle alone just isn't enough. That's just one of the other topics that we're going to touch on because I know you're all hard workers. I know that you're putting in the time and the effort, but you're just not seeing that motion and you feel a little bit stuck. I want to help you get past that. So, from there, we're going to really identify some of those tasks that qualify as quicksand tasks, those ones that suck you in and make you not move forward. And then we're going to go through the strategies that I use with my clients to help them move past that. It's so important that we have a plan. When you have a plan, when you map out your path, you can get to your destination. So does that sound good? We're going to go ahead and get started. So let's really dive into the idea of business quicksand. Okay. It's the core of what this workshop is all about. And it's something that I see all the time. I've seen it in myself. And quite honestly, I think about what motivated me to do this. And it's how I got stuck in quicksand. And it wasn't letting me move forward in my goals and in my plan for my life. So as I developed strategies, I realized that they were so important and I needed to share those. As my coaching business grew, I was able to really refine them and share them with my clients. And it's proven to be very successful. So, business quicksand is when you're moving all the time, you're working, you're checking things off, you're staying busy, but you're not making any progress. You're not growing. You feel like you're working, but you're not arriving anywhere. And we want to make sure that you can arrive. So it's really frustrating because it feels like you're doing all the right things. It feels like you're showing up every day, you're staying busy, you're wearing all the hats. You have on your boss hat, your employee hat, your bookkeeping hat, marketing hat, all these hats, and nothing's happening. You're just kind of spinning in circles. Busy does not mean that you're productive, unfortunately, and it definitely does not guarantee growth. You don't want to spend hours replying to emails, tweaking your website, tweaking graphics, social media posts. Like just doing that doesn't move the needle. That's quicksand. That's motion without momentum. And you don't want that. So, over the next few slides, we're going to talk about why this happens, how you can spot it in your own business or day, and most importantly, how to start climbing out of it because nobody wants to be stuck there. That's for sure. So, when we think about that, we also come to talk about like one of the biggest myths in business, and that's that like working hard is all it takes. And that's not really true. Working hard is super important for sure, but you have to have a strategy. You've probably heard those cliches like just hustle harder or outwork everyone else, just do more hours. And yeah, effort is definitely important, but hard work without direction, it can really hurt your business more than it can help it. Because if you're not really accomplishing anything, you can't move forward. So when you're hustling all the time without a plan, you end up feeling exhausted and overwhelmed. You feel like you're doing everything, but you're still failing. You're falling behind and you're exhausted, you're worn out. Nobody wants that. And that's because hustle without clarity leads to burnout. And who wants to be burnt out? Nobody. So here's the tricky part. Hustle often disguises itself as like busy work, and busy work disguises itself as productivity. And you think you're being efficient because you're always doing something, but that something just isn't necessarily the right thing. And that's something that we're going to talk about today. Real business growth does not come from being everywhere and doing everything. It comes from being focused. It comes from choosing the right efforts and applying them consistently. It comes from creating structure around your actions and moving you forward. So, as we move forward, I want to challenge you on the belief that hustle alone equals success and that hustle is just the fuel. Strategy is really your steering wheel. Hustle is the fuel and strategy is the steering wheel, and you need to hold on tight. So, there's going to be some times throughout this workshop where I ask you to drop some information in the chat and we can go back and address some of the things that you drop in there. Okay. And one of the first things that I want you to start thinking about and getting ready to drop in the chat is, what do you think your busy work is? What are you doing that isn't moving you forward? So, when you think about these quicksand tasks, when we think about those tasks that make us feel productive, but they're not creating any growth, they're not moving us forward, they're the tasks that keep us busy but not effective. Some of these examples include checking your email 10 times a day. It might be tweaking a social media graphic. Graphic looked great, but you've really felt the need to keep making it better and better. You might be rewriting the same caption over and over, or let's say you're just researching and researching and researching and never making a decision. That's not going to get you anywhere. That gives you the illusion of progress. But in reality, it doesn't lead to any tangible results. And that's what we want in business and in sales, right? We want tangible results. So when these tasks fill the space where our real priorities should be, they drain our energy and steal our momentum. So you need to ask yourself, if you stop doing a specific task today, would it affect your bottom line? Would it do anything negative to your business? And during this time, I now want you to start mentally listing like what your personal quicksand tasks are and dropping them in the chat. And what are the things that you're defaulting to when you're overwhelmed? When you feel that moment of, what are you doing? What tasks are you resorting to? Because those are likely your quicksand tasks. So go ahead and drop those into the chat. All right. Now, when you sink into that quicksand unexpectedly, and it happens to everybody, right? So we have to find ways to avoid it and ways to escape it. But we also have to talk about what it feels like when you're in it. When you're in it, you're working late, your to do list is always full, but nothing's happening, right? You're doing all these things, but your business and your bank account are not growing. There's no measurable progress. And even though you're exhausted, you don't feel accomplished. Nobody wants to do, and go to bed feeling like they've got nowhere. That's never a great feeling. And I think we've all noticed that. I know that for myself, one of the things that triggered all of these strategies and thoughts was when I used to sit there and be like, have all these grand ideas about what I wanted to do. And they were just ideas. And I would research them and then not do anything. Or I would make social media posts about something and get nothing from it. And I was just kind of spinning my wheels. And then a very wise person said to me that he had discovered the strategy of when he thought about it, he wrote it down and then he did it. And that actually generated a book that I wrote. But what's important is that we see in ourselves how we are spinning our wheels and we work to fix that. So when you are sinking in that quicksand, you notice that you have no space for the big picture thinking, right? You're too caught up in the day-to-day whirlwind of going, going, going. You're kind of walking in circles and bumping into walls. And there's no progress there. You feel drained. You feel down. Sorry, didn't mean to get off of that. You don't feel driven. That's the emotional quicksand that comes from that. So when you are not being productive in your business, it impacts every aspect of your life. And nobody wants that. So how do we fix it? Step one is accountability. Accountability does not mean that you have someone looking over your shoulder. It does not mean that you have someone sitting there going, do. That is not it. Accountability is about building systems that are going to remind you and motivate you to stay on track. It's one of the biggest game changers that I've ever experienced, and I see it in my clients. It's an amazing game changer. It's the bridge between clarity and momentum. Okay. It's what carries you over, it's what gets you moving. And once you know it holds you back, accountability helps you stay focused. It helps you follow through on the steps that matter, and it stops you from sliding back down into that quicksand. If you're a solopreneur, it's even more important. If you're that one person running that whole business, nobody else is setting the pace for you. And accountability, again, it's not pressure, it's support. It's a way to help you, it's a way to guide you so that you can lead your business as opposed to reacting to your business. So, how do we take that accountability and like really just kind of put it in action? You want to build systems. And honestly, one of my favorites, I always start off with the Eisenhower matrix. I love this. I love this system. It helps you really identify what truly matters, and it really prepares you so that you can layer in some action based goals. But let's talk about the Eisenhower matrix first. What that means is you take your tasks that you're doing, whatever they may be, checking your email 10 times a day, social media posts, I don't know, filling the water cooler, whatever it is. If it is something that you absolutely have to do, it goes in the do box. If you see that graphic there, you have do, decide, delegate, and delete. I like to call the delete one ditch. So the do means you personally, you have to take care of that. The delegate means you can give that to someone else. Now, if you don't have someone else to give it to now, you can still categorize it there. It might still be in the do box as well, but you know that as your business grows, you're going to be able to have someone else take that off your plate. The decide is also known as schedule, right? So, what can you schedule? What are you doing today that you could have put on your calendar for next week or for tomorrow? If it's that thing that's important, but it's not urgent, then it needs to be scheduled. And what are you doing that you can delete, or as I like to say, ditch? Let's ditch it. What is it? Are you revising your social media posts every 20 minutes? Are you sitting there every single day and doing your own social media and posting them out as opposed to either A, hiring a company, or B, using a scheduling app or website like CoSchedule? There are ways to save time and there are things to do. So you want to really kind of put everything into these boxes. It's really important that you start refining your tasks by arranging your tasks, if that makes sense. So once you do that, you can kind of start to layer in some action based goals. You can set some real specific targets every week and review the results. When you set weekly targets, you have that short term goal that's going to get you moving forward towards your long term goals. That is an amazing strategy to use. And honestly, it only helps you. So when you track your progress consistently, even that little bit at a time, that weekly, you build that momentum. And honestly, you can't fix what you can't track. If you're not tracking it, you can't fix it. And this is how we turn motion into meaningful progress, into momentum. So, doing these things, taking this strategy of breaking everything down and planning it out, what does that really do for you? It starts to make some changes, some shifts, and you move from really being stuck in the quicksand to being strategic and moving forward on your path. So when we stop reacting to our business and we start leading our business, everything changes. It's a whole new game. And there are three shifts that are really at the heart of what I help my clients do. So let's take a look at these and kind of break them down. You have reactive to intentional. So, too many entrepreneurs are consistently putting out fires. They're reacting, responding to emails, answering calls, and reacting to what's happening around them. Being intentional means planning ahead, working towards working towards a vision and allocating your time towards your goals. Not just what like feels urgent at the moment, but about leading your business instead of your business leading you. Do not let the tail wag the dog, right? Always make sure that you are in control. And then if you look at the next one, solo to supported. So most business owners carry the full weight of the business on their shoulders. They feel like they have to do everything. They're solving every problem all by themselves. That doesn't work for anybody really at the end of the game. You need support. When you're doing it all by yourself, you're exhausted, you're isolated, and you're limiting your growth. Whether you hire a virtual assistant, whether you join a mastermind group, find a mentor, or work with a coach, whatever path you take, you're creating some space for yourself. And when you create that space, you're no longer bottlenecking yourself. You're no longer just stuck. Now you're gaining insight, accountability, and the support that you need. Because support is not a weakness, it's a business asset and it's important. So as you build these things and these shifts start to happen, you go from busy to effective. Busy, busy can feel great sometimes, right? We like to stay busy, keep our minds going. But there's a difference between activity and progress. You can be busy all day and accomplish nothing meaningful, but effectiveness comes from focusing on the right things. Effectiveness comes from the things that actually move the business forward, from your strategy, from your planning. When you have strategy, you have clarity, you have accountability, and it means saying no to the distractions and yes to what matters. And that's what it looks like when you get out of the quicksand. You build a business that moves forward with purpose. I don't know anybody who doesn't want to do that. What I really, really want for you from this is that you don't just walk away inspired and you're still stuck. You're still in that phase where you're not really moving. I want you to leave with some actionable things. I want you to have more clarity on what's really holding you back. And it's probably not a lack of time or effort, it's structure, it's focus, and it's direction. We talked about how to create a strategic plan. We talked about how to eliminate quicksand tasks and how to prioritize what's building your business. And now we're going to talk about like putting it into place and just kind of finding that sweet spot that allows you to have everything lined up. So, what I'd like you to do right now is drop into chat two things that you think take up your time and are not useful, and two things that you think you would like to do to gain focus in your business. So, when I talked about the Eisenhower matrix, I think it's incredibly important that you understand that once you're done with that, and I'm just going to hop back on these slides a little bit. So, with the Eisenhower matrix, once you've refined your tasks, now it's time to really put them in motion. Now it's time to figure out how you're going to plan your day with strategy. See, if you're going down hustle highway, right? You're just hustling, you're trying to go down that highway, you need to have a goal, right? So if you refine your path with this matrix, you take your tasks that you know you need to do, you plan them out for the day. And there's a lot of strategies that are out there that you can use. One of my favorites is I have a notepad in my house. And towards the end of the day, I write down what I haven't finished yet or what's come to mind that I know I need to take care of the next day. The next day, I grab that notepad in the morning. I sit down with my coffee. I have my prayer time. And then I start fixing my calendar, putting the things that I know that I need to accomplish on it. And what does that do? It gives me a plan. It gives me a strategy to address my day. When you do that, you're less likely to drop a ball. You're less likely to feel chaotic. You know, you have a plan. You've mapped out your path to success. And who doesn't want to do that? I mean, what we don't want to do is spin in circles, right? We don't want to spin in circles wondering what we should do today. So think about and drop in the chat how you might do your planning for your day. I will tell you that your morning time is your most important. If you have a plan for your mornings, whatever that might be, it might mean that you get up at 4:35, 5:36, you go for a jog, you come back, you drink your water or your coffee. I'm also not jogging, but you drink your coffee, you have your notebook, you have your calendar, and you start planning your day. Whether you're using a written planner or Google or Outlook, setting that strategy for your day puts your head right. And when you can walk out the door knowing what your day is all about, you're ahead of it. So many people because you have a plan. And no one attacks a war, which is what our days are like, an absolute war on time without a strategy, without a plan. So make sure that you have your plan in place. So I want to talk, I want to know, what is your biggest takeaway? What questions do you have, and where do you need clarity or support? I want you to drop your questions in chat. Sorry, the raise your hand part isn't actually going to work here right now, but I'd like you to drop them in chat so that we could talk about what some of your things that are happening. And Marcus, I like what you put up there. The things that aren't useful are interviews and checking emails, and the things that are moving your business forward are selling door to door and prospecting clients. That's fantastic. And Ray, I see yours. You want to do more networking and meetings with clients. These are great. And I just kind of want to put out there too that and I'm going to stop the share from, well, actually, when you think about networking, I want you to consider something. You need to go into networking with a plan. You need to know who you want to talk to and what you want to do. Because if you go in there just randomly talking to everybody, you might get somewhere with it, but it's more likely that you need a strategic plan on who you intend on meeting and networking with. So, some of the things that I have for you to go from here and to move yourself forward, I'm going to be emailing you a list of the Quicksand tasks, some common ones for you to consider. I'm going to also be sending you out a little workbook that'll kind of help you refine how you're going to get out of the quicksand. And everyone should have those emails by tomorrow morning. I wanted to put up a link to my books. I do have 3 books on Amazon. 2 of them are all about networking. So if you're not sure about networking, I really recommend that you get those. And then I have Think It, Write It, Do It, which was actually inspired by my brother Tom, who told me what he did, and it motivated me. And with that, I started my coaching business, and it's been an amazing trip. And I'm headed right to where I want to go. I think it's really important that you do everything you can to drive yourself forward. I also have, so you can scan that QR code, or you can find the link on my website. You can schedule a consultation, read my blogs, see how we can connect. I am always happy to answer any questions that anyone might have. If you have any other questions, please drop them in the chat. We'll sit here for a few minutes and I'll kind of answer anything that you put out there. I see that Angel and Andrew both said admin work are issues. I will tell you something I have learned recently for the solopreneurs is to consider companies like Bruntwork. If you are not in the space yet to have a person in your office, looking at the virtual assistants through companies like Bruntwork, great idea. It's a fantastic idea, quite honestly. With that, I hope everyone here has had a great time. I hope you've enjoyed it. And there will be a webinar every 2 weeks on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Ideally, none of them will ever have another technical issue. And if there's anything else I could do for you, drop it in the chat. I'm going to sit here for a few minutes. And thank you for being with me. I really appreciate your time. And I hope you have an amazing day. And someone just said brunt work is great. So thank you so much. If you have questions, please feel free to stay for a few. And if you need to go, I got you. I hope to see you in 2 weeks. Ah, yes, finding reliable employees. Yes, that is hard. Well, thank you so much, Marcus. I appreciate that. And Dylan, I appreciate that, guys. All right. I'm not seeing any questions, so I'm going to go ahead and close it out. And you guys are amazing. Make sure you grab that QR code. Make sure you go and sign up for the next couple of webinars. There will be more up on the site soon. Thank you so much and have a great day.